Hey, Brandon Burg with Burg Law with Ray Altieri here. We're talking to clients and community associations about their storm damages and their insurance claims. Ray, you've been down here for a couple of weeks now, and actually seeing some of the damages that have been caused by Hurricane Michael to these buildings. I'm dealing with clients. I'm seeing the damages. Guys, these are damages that are unique to this storm that I don't think we've ever seen before. I mean, there's certain ways that Katrina affected things and Irma affected things, but what's happening to the buildings and Michael with, depending on where you are, 150 mile an hour winds coming out of the north, Mexico Beach coming out of the east. Ray, tell me specifically, the obvious things I guess are, no pun intended, obvious, blown off shingles, but what are some of the things that you're seeing in buildings that are not as obvious that could have long-term impacts?
Well, I mean, one thing that I think is very important to understand is your wind-driven rain. Words matter when you're talking to an insurance adjuster. We're always going to be truthful, but the way you may say something of, oh, it was coming through the windows, and sometimes wind-driven rain is not covered in your policy, or you'll have a sublimit in your policy that says, okay, we've got X amount of dollars for wind-driven rain. What you typically want to look for is wind-created openings, meaning that there was some part of the roof was peeled back, or different ways that a tree puncture, a limb that punctures the roof. But the wind-driven rain aspect is it may not be because the seals of the windows may be popped or the frames may be bent. These are the tiny, really intricate damages that really can get overlooked sometimes by an insurance adjuster who has 150 claims on their back and is just trying to get through the day. You feel for those guys, but they sometimes don't have the time to truly get in here and look at your...
Well, I mean, honestly, and I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus, is it time? Is it expertise? Is it they really don't want to see it, or maybe a little bit of all?
No, I think they try to do the best they can for everybody in general, but it's a claim load and it's time to get through, and they have deadlines to meet, and so. But the damages they range. I mean, you've got, like you said, you've got flood, you've got wind, and being able to decipher between the two can sometimes be a challenge.
Right.
You want to make, again, it's back to good documentation, understanding how your policy works for you, and being able to articulate the damages and why they need to pay, the insurance company needs to pay for them.
I mean, are you seeing things where the structure maybe at first glance looks okay, but when you get up under it or underneath it or into it, you're looking at, man, there's some stuff going on here?
Well, yeah, I mean, water damage takes time to show itself fully. Okay, different materials react to water damage differently, and so you may walk into a room one day and see no staining on your ceiling, and then you show up a week later and you've got some brown stains that have started to show. So you have to be very aware of your property. You have to kind of check on it throughout the initial first 4 to 6 weeks to see if you have continuing damages that are happening. But if you look at the ends of door frames, or you look, maybe drywall cracks that appear in different areas, or by the windows, you look on the framing that may be bent, or the windows not sliding like it should have, or up and down or sideways, your sliding glass doors. Pay attention to those areas. And see if maybe check around your windows if the drywall looks like it's cracked because the frame of the window kind of got pushed in a little bit.
Okay.
And it's real subtle, but it's there.
I mean, are you seeing anything specifically with roofs besides just shingles blown off?
Well, you have different types of roof systems, so you've got different, sometimes we've seen where the roof, it looks fine, but once you get up there and you start to really look at it, it lifted and then came back down.
Right.
And it didn't sit the right way. And so there's we could talk for hours on the different types of damages that roofs have, but that's another point of having your own people inspect it from your perspective.
So, again, we're talking about the workload that these insurance adjusters have. They just might not have the time to go back and do the thorough review on those types of things. Like you're talking, micro things, like things that if you're not looking for specific stuff in specific units, frankly, you just may not see.
Right. Well, it's about being complete. This is your insurance claim, and you want to make sure that you're utilizing your policy. And so That's why it's important to be very thorough on the side of understanding your coverage, understanding your policy, along with understanding your damages and how that correlates with your policy. So it's about I've said it 1,000 times, but it's about documenting your damages the right way and presenting your claim to the carrier so they can make a payment.
Yeah, and the thing is with, you're talking about windows and doors. The Condominium Act talks about when a storm event like this happens, the association is responsible for fixing those things, whether you guys are responsible for maintaining them or not. The association is responsible for fixing everything that it insures, and it basically insures the entire building as originally constructed, minus the things inside the unit. So even if windows and doors are the owner's responsibility to maintain in a storm event, they're the association's responsibility to fix. And if you've got a couple of windows that are compromised, you may have all the windows that are compromised. And if you don't address that now, you could have some real big problems, or real expensive problems
Down the road.
a year or two down the road when windows are fogging up, or door seals aren't lining up right, or your roof's leaking and you can't figure out why, and it's because it was lifted up and it didn't settle properly. So get your own folks get your own team in place. Make sure you document things, and we're going to talk a little bit next about assignment of benefits.